In this video, I'm going to try a very interesting build. It's using a main weapon, the katana called Uchigatana. I believe the samurai actually starts with this, but I'm going to show you where to get one if you didn't start out as a samurai. And basically, we're going to get a Ashes of War called Hoarfrost Stomp that allows us to do this big icing. Now, this thing does a lot of damage and also changes the weapon in a way that it becomes like 3 times stronger. So I'm using the magic version, the magic affinity version of the Hoarfrost Stomp on the weapon over here. Here you can see its stats. It requires 11 strength and 15 dexterity. It's literally a weapon that you can use very early on in the game, and you can get this Ashes of War very easily without actually having to kill any major enemies. You just have to kind of get through the first boss and then into that giant swamp area of the left side of the map, and then you're good to go. You can see I'm using talismans that increase my intellect and make my intellect really high. I've got 60 intellect. My base character is only 50. I also have my wondrous physic that boosts my intelligence as well as my magic attacks themselves. So let's first start off of where you get the Uchigatana. This is obviously in the early game, right before you cross the big wall into the castle where Margit is. You're going to this location over here from the War Master Shack. You'll see there is a door to a cave at this location. Just again, this is exactly where I am on the map. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to find the sword. So lucky for you, you actually don't have to go into the boss chamber to actually beat the boss to get the sword. The sword is actually just lying on a dead body on a balcony somewhere. When you go through this cave and you get to the end, there will be a lever here that you can pull, so you're going to go ahead and pull that lever. When you leave the lever's room, you'll see there's a body on top of the balcony there with a shiny item. That is the sword that we actually need to go get. If you follow all the pathways that you find in this cave, you will get to the Uchigatana and you'll pick it up, and that's pretty much how you get it, very easily. Now, in order to get the Ashes of War Hoarfrost Stomp, you're also going to be getting it very easily. You just have to kill one of these spirits that are just rolling around in a circle. So where we are right now, as I said, remember, when you get into this area here, you literally have to get to this spot, to this little kind of like water area over here, because this is where you'll find it. You will have to get up on the left side of this ridge here. So somewhere along the line, there'll be one of those like horse jump things that will blow you up to the top here, and then you just follow this path here until you eventually can get here. Now, with these spirit things that are moving, they are actually invisible. You just have to wait for them to come around to where you are and attack them. So this is how I got it, the Ash of War Hoarfrost Stomp. Very easy. So go to the nearest site of grace, go to the Ashes of War option, select your Uchigatana, and go down to the bottom here, and you'll find the Hoarfrost Stomp one right over here. You can see this is going to give you a very nice move. And you can either select Magic or Cold. I tried out both. I had a lot more benefits from magic, but I'll show you what cold does, because cold allows you to have cold buildup like 105, which is a lot. So when you're hitting like bosses and stuff, you can have them afflicted with cold, which means they take more damage from your hits after the fact. But if you're fighting weaker enemies, magic is definitely the way to go. I think magic for me is actually the best way to go because I'm heavily invested into magic attacks and intellect already. So using that like very low costing FP attack, the Hoarfrost Stomp, is going to just be super strong. Okay, so here's some gameplay, me using the cold version of Hoarfrost Stomp here. You can see the range on this thing is ridiculous. So it does like an initial damage where it like spikes them, and then it pops right after that, and you can see that second pop does a lot of damage. Like sometimes you're actually destroying these enemies. Now this is a sort of late game-ish area. It's at the Halig tree at the very north of the map. So this is quite strong. And now we're going to pop our Wondrous Physic, which is going to boost our magic attack, which should actually make the Hoarfrost Stomp do even more damage. If you're just using the weapon for normal attacks, you can see here we do about 500 damage per hit. It's decent, but it's still lower than what my Moon Veil can do with its own attacks, though. But I gotta say that this Ashes of War is really effective. It's a lot more safe than the Moon Veil. I'm actually very surprised to say this, because I literally just made a video saying that I couldn't find a weapon that was on par with this, and then I tried this immediately after, and dude, this is really good. I mean, look how many times we've used the Hoarfrost Stomp, and we still have so much FP left. It costs almost nothing to use this Ashes of War. For the amount of damage it does, it's just absolutely insane. Okay, time to test it against a stronger enemy here. Let's see what we do. So that damage is really good. It's nice that we can stay very far. Yeah, we just destroyed this dude before he could even land a hit on us. That's actually crazy, dude. That is insane. So now I'm going to show you the difference by putting the affinity granted on magic instead. Now this makes it intellect type B, which, since I'm heavily invested into intellect anyway and I boost my magic attacks, it's going to do a lot more magic damage now. If you have a look here, just my physical attacks alone are already dealing over 600 damage. Let's see this thing here. This thing is basically, the Hoarfrost Stomp now basically singly kills a lot of these enemies in just one go. You can see that is a huge difference. That is 1,500 damage just by one use of this thing. Enemies with shields and stuff can obviously defend against some of the magic, so won't take the full damage. But still, using this in a magic form when you have a lot of intellect is a very good strategy because you are going to hurt enemies a lot, both with your just normal attacks and using the Ashes of War skill, which is going to just destroy enemies. And now to show you how it performs against one of these guys over here who are a little bit more sturdier than those men there. You can see here, this does roughly the same. It doesn't do the frost. You can see the frost doesn't apply as quick as the cold version, the cold affinity, but we still get a lot of damage throughout on regular enemies using this method. So if you're trying to fight bosses, maybe go for the cold. You can try between the two. I think for myself, I'm going to stick with magic, but if you have a lot of dexterity, it might actually be better to stick with the cold version affinity of this Ashes of War. I hope you guys enjoyed this build. I hope you try it out. It's definitely something really strong. If you like the Moon Veil, trust me, you're going to like this one too. And thank you guys so much for watching.